proper depth on military press, provided there is no pain. This is tough. Everybody's different. They're even starting, you're starting to see stuff on different types of hip structure. I know there's kind of some research and stuff out there about this on the shoulder too. Like the bone structures in different people's shoulders are different. So to be exact on this answer is really tough. But I would basically say get as close to full range of motion as you can without pain. I know if I go, and this was years ago, military press has always just felt like shit. So, even before my shoulder problems, if I took it all the way down to my chest, it felt shitty, and I would, you try to like fight through it and stuff. Not that I did a lot of shoulder press, so that I'm saying that's what fucked my shoulders up. But looking back, had I stopped a couple inches above my chest and saved myself, instead of just scratching the exercise, it might have been more beneficial if I kept them in there and just stayed out of a pain-free range of motion. I definitely think so. I think some of my shoulder problems are due to weakness on my shoulders overall. So looking back, stay within a range of motion that's not going to hurt. Don't always, especially as you get older, don't always have to put the fucking bar on your chest. Okay, so that's proper range. Do what you can do without that shit hurting. Better to get all your attempts in at the meet and leave some in the tank, or miss and not know. I think it's better to hit everything. I think it's better to leave a little bit in the tank. And I talked about this on the table talk a little bit. Leave a little bit in the tank. Be patient. Just keep chipping away. A big mistake I made when I was kind of hitting my stride on my lifting. I hit a total 2,300, and you could tell there was some left in the tank on every lift. So like immediately I'm thinking, going back and watching video and stuff, and so you get greedy, and so I totaled 2,300, and then right away my next goal was 26, because I'm thinking to myself, well, I obviously had on each lift, I had 30, 40 more pounds on each one. So there's 30, 40 more pounds on each one. If I just train real hard, I can make up the difference, and I'll be at 2,600 before I know it. That's not how life works. So, I think had I been a little more patient and just, set some smaller goals along the way and taken my time, the road to 2,600 probably would be a little less bumpy. So leave a little bit in the tank. Don't miss. And just keep chipping away. As long as you want to lift for a long time. If you don't care how long you lift, then fucking go. But I think it's always better to leave a little bit in the tank. Same with your training. If you want to throw a question in, throw it on the question sticker on my storyline. How to find the right accessories to do after each lift. So just fuck around, see what works. Another good thing to do is, Dave was talking about this one day, and I never really thought about it like this, but he said you pick your max effort movement to build your competition lift. You pick your supplemental movement, which would be my second barbell movement typically, to raise your max effort lift. And then your accessories, you pick those to raise your supplemental lift or your second barbell lift. So that's a good way to go about it. Another really good way to do it, and kind of time efficient, is get with a strong group of people and do what they do. That'll narrow things down pretty quickly. Let's say somebody squats 200 more pounds than you, and they can do, I don't know, let's say they can do 10 GHRs holding a 25-pound plate with good form, and you can only do them body weight. Try to get to the point where you can fucking do them with weight. It's really pretty simple. Now that being said, you got to work around injuries and different body types and that type of thing, and different. Everyone's different, so you're gonna have little nuances of stuff here and there. But for the most part, do what the strong people do. That'll solve a lot of your problems until you've been competing for like 10 years or so, probably. Then you'll really, then you'll start to see some fine tuning you got to do and stuff. But it's, for your first few years, unless you're real advanced, you probably just do what the strong guys do, to be honest. So there you go. Exercises for hip activation, and how has my activation work changed over the years? I like back extension. I like reverse hyper. I like seated band abductions. Those have always kind of been my go-to. I used to do like a dynamic warm-up with almost all the athletes before we trained. And to be honest, they do that shit so much with their sport and their morning conditioning and all this. Like, you only got so much time in the weight room, so just get later on I got into more isolation stuff to just kind of wake the hips up. Same with shoulders on upper body day. Because we don't have a ton of time, and they do that stuff so much already. It's like, how much more is piling more of that shit on gonna help? And for the most part, the athletes half-ass it. You know what I mean? They don't understand how to do it right. And you can say that's a showing of my coaching or whatever, but it got to the point where I just thought it was a waste of time, to be honest. So, because they do it enough already. So yeah, I like just like you're talking about, just activation and fucking get going. If they want to do some rolling out and stuff on their own, good. Or we can address it as a group if we have to. But those are my go-tos. That being said, lately I've got like some SI joint stuff going on in my right hip, and it's starting to kind of fuck with my glute a little bit. So I'm doing some real basic stuff that's kind of started to make a difference. Like, I'll just lay on my side and do like a side-lying leg lift, and that will burn the shit out of my fucking hip. And when I stand up, my leg is like rubbery. So there's something going on there that needs addressed, obviously. Belt squat marches, banded belt squat marches. I did those today, and they blew my fucking glutes up, like really, really good. And you can do something similar for a warm up. You can put a belt on, and then loop the band through, and then put your feet in the loops of the band, and do like wide stance marches like that. You can do that and hold a goblet. Okay, so there's different ways to do that if you don't have a belt squat machine. Those are really good too. So those are my go-tos. Simple, just get blood in there and then get the fucking training. Better to have a stronger wide stance than normal stance on squat. Is it better to have a stronger wide stance than normal stance on squat? I don't know. I don't know. Are you a lifter or are you an athlete? I don't know. That's pretty broad. I will say I think it's advantageous for most people to bring up their wide stance strength. I do think it will help your closer stance strength. I don't think it works so much the other way. But that doesn't mean, when I say that doesn't mean go out so wide that you can't open your goddamn knees and you're getting a bunch of valgus cave on the knee, and there's the pendulum can go too far on that, just like anything else. That doesn't mean go train wide stance exclusively all the fucking time. You still need to train everything, but I think if you can bring up the strength on some wide stance stuff, it's going to help you everywhere. So how should a male, I will throw this in and say female too, begin programming? How should a person, if you've been off training for 10 years, how should you get back in? Start slow. Honestly, I would treat you like a new lifter. I would run some dynamic work for probably a month, where you're just taking sub-maximal weights, hitting a lot of doubles and triples with short rest periods. Try to move the weight fairly quick. Don't kill yourself. You know, you don't got to push on the bar like someone's got a gun to your head, but kind of get used to pushing it on the bar with a little bit of effort. Your short rest periods will help bring up your conditioning slowly. The sub-maximal weights will help you think your way through the lift a little bit, fix your form, get you back into the groove of things. And think about this, you haven't been doing anything for 10 years, so you're going to need very little stimulus to progress from where you are. So don't get caught up thinking you need to do, you know, a bunch of crazy ass weights right off the bat, and then you just go through the rest of your training day. Go do your accessory work, hit your weak areas, start off low volume. You know what I mean? That first month, really wouldn't have to go above 3 sets on anything. After that first month, you know, then slowly start creeping your volume up on a weekly basis. So I might go 3 sets on most of my stuff. Week 1, week 2, 4 sets. Week 3, 5 sets. So honestly, I just start like you're starting over, basically. Start slow, work your way up, ease into it. You got time. You're not. I don't think you're going to a competition that's gonna fucking pay your bills. So start slow and work it up. Work it up slow. Does heavy metal indeed make you lift more weight? Fuck, really? Fuck out of here. Without accommodating resistance, would percent around 65 to 75 be okay for college athletes? Dynamic effort squat session. Yes, I would probably start them at 60% and just see how that goes, and then kind of auto-regulate from there. See how things look. See, shit, I was supposed to turn there. Just see how it looks. You know, you got to kind of eyeball it. But yeah, if you don't have accommodating resistance, it's a good idea to put a little more weight on the bar, so they got to push. Because most college athletes are beginner lifters, so they're not going to understand how to push on a lighter load. They need a little bit more stimulus to understand I got to push hard. So yep, you're on the right track. Now, if you do have accommodating resistance, I think there's something, you know, keep it a little bit lighter, 50 to 60%, maybe even 30 to 40% when you're getting into the time of year when you want them to be faster. All right, so that's how you do that. Lifters with poor overhead mobility due to lat tightness, what exercises do you use to increase range of motion? Probably not going to use exercises. I'm going to use soft tissue work. I'm going to go get the lats worked on. Some of the other internal rotators are usually what is going to cause issues with you having overhead pressing range of motion issues. So not so much exercises, but tissue work to try to get the tissue that's limiting the range of motion to calm down, so you can get to where you're trying to be. And that might not get it either. You might have somebody that's just so fucked up over the years that it's not going to happen. So keep that in mind. Where the fuck am I?